In this video, I'll be discussing about how to choose wedges. Doesn't matter if you're a first timer or not. This is a video for everyone, and there will be things you can take away from this video. Now, the most important thing about choosing wedges is the brand doesn't matter. What matters is that you like the look, the feel of the wedge. That is what you choose a brand or a model for. But don't be locked to one brand only. Try all the models, look to see what look you like, look and how they perform. Typically, a wedge does not perform differently from each brand. It's very similar. There's very little differences. It's all preference. So when choosing a wedge, the first thing you need to know is what you're using that wedge for. Now, typically, I would tell people that start out with a sandwich, a 54, a 55, or 56. Choose one and build your set from that, because a 56 is the most important wedge in your bag. It is the most versatile. You can use it for chipping, for pitching, and for full swings. Now, when you have a 56 you've been playing for a while, you can buy other wedges. A gap wedge is typically used to gap between your sand and your pitching wedge. The gap wedge started coming into play when the pitching wedge lofts got stronger. A lob wedge is typically used for chipping or for around the greens, where you need more versatility. Maybe in the sand, maybe you have a high lip bunker, maybe you have to land it soft onto the green. So before you buy a wedge, try out the wedges and see how you would play them. You could ask a playing partner to try them out, or you can go to your store and try chipping if that's available. Now, going in depth, the first thing about choosing a wedge is knowing how your conditions are. How is the grass? How is the sand? How's the rough? Now, the most important thing is the fairway and the sand. If you're playing in somewhere that's harder, you would typically need a more low bounce wedge. There's no exact number to this, it's all preference, but you would need to move to a lower bounce wedge. And if it's softer, you would need a high bounce wedge. Now, the way I say is lower bounce and higher bounce. If you're playing in soft conditions, it doesn't mean you have to have a whole set of high bounce wedges. You can mix and match. Now, this goes into the next topic, your type of play. So, how you play goes into how you choose a wedge. If you typically chip and run, or chip with the face closed, you would need a higher bounce wedge, because when you have the face square, closed, you're not adding any bounce onto the wedge, and you don't really need any creativity. But if you open the face, you would need less bounce because you'll be opening bounce onto the wedge. This is a bit vague, but here's how you can simply understand it. Typically, your highest loft wedge, your 60 or your 58, will have a lower bounce and more grind to accommodate for opening the face and playing creative shots. And your 56 will have somewhat of a more medium bounce, or low bounce, or high bounce. This is because the 56 is the most versatile, as I said before. You have many playing styles of 56s. You can play it of any type. It depends on how you play it. A 50 typically is an extension of your iron set, so it will be closer to an iron than a wedge. The grind will typically be similar to your 56 and pitching wedge. So it will be lower bounce or higher bounce depending on how you play. Now, when choosing bounce, the easiest to pick is the 50. The 50 you just choose by how you typically swing your shot. If you're a steep player, you de-loft a lot, you have a lot of angle hold on your swing, you would probably need a higher bounce because you're eliminating bounce by de-lofting your club. And vice versa. If you're a person who doesn't de-loft a lot, you play a high ball, you would need a lower bounce so that you don't bounce off the turf when you get into the ball. That creates consistency. Now, for 56, you would typically choose by how you play it. For example, myself, I play a 56 with a lot of bounce to accommodate to my 60. Because my 60, I grind it off so that it has no bounce at all. It has about 3 or 4 degrees of bounce. That's because I play creative shots. I play a flop shot, I play a high ball. Almost every time I use a 60. The 56 is to play in different conditions. So here's the typical use case of how I would recommend people buy wedges. If you're starting out and you don't know yet, buy a 56 with about 10 to 12 degrees of bounce, because that would be the easiest to chip with. Now later on, when you get better and you like opening the face with your 56, you can grind it off. You can add the grind behind, or you can have soul relief. Now, what is soul relief? Soul relief is a way to make it so that when you open the face, the club face sits lower to the ground. Now, grinding a wedge is quite complicated. It cannot be explained by just speaking. You have to try it. You have to speak to a professional, and you have to let them see your chipping, your play, and they will recommend you a way to grind your wedge. So typically, how I would set up people's bags is 56 with 10 or 12, a 60 depending on how you play it. If you're not opening the face as much, I would typically give them a 8 or a 10 degree bounce. But if you're opening the face, you're playing creative shots, you're a creative person, I would typically give them a 4 or a 6. And if I'm giving them a 4 or 6, I would give them with a lot of trail relief, a lot of relief behind the club, behind the trailing edge, so that it gets easier to play those shots. And for a 50, I would look at how they play their pitching wedge, how much divot they're taking, how much of a steep angle are they playing. If they're very steep, I would give them a 12 or 14, but if they're playing a bit shallower, I would give them a bit less. Wedges are subjective. They depend on how you play. Wedges are typically chosen on how much you like your wedge, how much you like that wedge, how much you like this wedge. So what I advise you is, before you buy a wedge, try it first, understand it first, and if you like it, you buy it. And if you want to like your wedge even more, you can go into customizing it. You can grind relief into it if you want, but before you grind, unless you know what you're doing, please go to a professional and ask them to review your chipping, then give you a recommendation on how you should grind your wedge. Thanks for watching till the end. Now, if this video was helpful to you, make sure you click like around here and subscribe around here, I think. I appreciate every subscription given to me. It helps me motivate to make more awesome videos for you guys. So any comments, good or bad, write them below. I read all of them because there's not much yet. See you in the next video.